Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today's card is a pretty easy card to make. I'm using several Distress Oxide inks, as well as this Happy Birthday die by Simon Says Stamp and this Celebration Time set of balloons by Simon Says Stamp. For my oxide inks, I have these two wooden handles, and then I just switch out the foam pads. I have one for each color. I'm going to start with the Faded Jeans. You can see I'm working in circles. It's easy to blend these oxide inks, much easier than the regular Distress inks. So I'm starting off the cardstock and moving onto the cardstock. And as I move onto the cardstock, I'm using less pressure. So I have a lot of pressure as I'm on the edge, and then as I move toward the middle, I become much lighter with my hand. So I'm just going to keep going over this until I get about an inch in, and then I'm going to move on to my next color, which is Peacock Feathers. Now normally I like to start off the edge of the cardstock, but with these Distress Oxide inks you really don't even have to. I just like to do it, and I do it out of habit, but sometimes I'm starting in the middle. So with these inks you really don't have a lot of those blockiness, those blocky looks from the applicator. Now, I tend to get a lot of ink smudges and my fingers dirty, so I just put a piece of scratch paper to hold down so I wouldn't touch my cardstock and get some ink on it. And also notice that as I move colors, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on putting pressure on the line between the two colors to make them blend. My next color here is Broken China, so I'm doing the same thing, kind of moving from the edges toward the middle and over that line between the Peacock Feathers and the Broken China. And finally, I have Cracked Pistachio. I'm going to be careful with this color because it's my last one. And I want to make sure that I'm fading it to white, which means that I use really, really light pressure as I get toward what you're looking at, the left edge or the bottom of my card. So I'm really making it heavy on the line with the Broken China and then just using a super light hand as I get toward the white. So you can see how it fades to white. This is much harder to accomplish with the regular Distress inks, but with the oxide inks, it's not too bad. I'm going to add some texture to my panel here by just dropping some water on it. It's the same brush that I use for all my paint splatters. I'm just going to wipe the handle so I don't get big blobs of water falling down. I just tap it from the top with a little bit of water, and usually I have to let it sit for, I don't know, 10 seconds or something, just to let the water absorb and kind of push the color out so you know exactly what you're dealing with. So I do a first round, see how it looks. You can also take, to make it faster, you can take a tissue or a paper towel and just kind of pick up the water, and it'll pick up the color as well. So I'm just going to tap it a bunch of times until I'm happy with the amount of droplets I have. I'm going to set that off to the side. I have a piece of paper. This is Nina Solar White, just a scrap piece that I have. I'm going to cover one side of it with some Versamark ink. And I'm using Iridescent Ice. It's a sparkly embossing powder by Stampin' Up. They don't make it anymore, but there's another one on the market, and I'll link to that. And it's kind of a white embossing powder with different color, different flecks of glitter. It's just beautiful. So I covered the whole thing, and then I'll use my balloon die and cut the balloon out. So I have a nice sparkly balloon. I'm going to trim my ink blended panel so that I have a 1/8 of an inch mat across the whole thing. And now I'm going to take my sentiment, which is cut out of some black cardstock. I'm going to put some 2A glue on the back. I just dab it on all the letters here. And I'm going to do this one first because it's the one that's on the bottom. So I'm going to put it as close to the bottom as I can. And then I'll take the Happy and do the same thing. I overlap them just a little bit. Now, I don't like to deal with the little dots in the eyes, so I just took my Micron 03 pen and just add a little dot to the top of my eye there. I'm going to add some tape runner to the back of my balloon, and then I'm going to place it on my cardstock directly above the P, that second P in Happy, and I'm going to connect it with the balloon string. You know, I use my ATG tape runner for pretty much everything. Some people say it's too bulky for small things, but I managed to get it pretty much onto everything. I'm going to do this in pencil first just because I don't trust myself with a pen. And I'm just going to draw my line, and then I'll go over it with a Micron 03 marker, the same one I did the dot in the eye. I tried doing this with a piece of thread, but the thread was just too much for that thin P. So I'm going to add a little tail here, and then I'm going to cross over the bottom of my balloon. But the glitter made it really hard to do, so I grabbed a Sharpie, which is kind of a little thicker and heavier, and so I was able to go across that bottom of that balloon with the Sharpie. And then I'm going to take some tape runner, put it on the back of this panel, and adhere it to an A2 size Nina Solar White piece of cardstock. And that is the card for today. So pretty simple, pretty easy, and you can do this in all different colors. It'll look good. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.